Welcome, guys, to Winter Summer Part 3. They playing nothing. Curve recommended me. He said it was a very interesting game. So, without further ado, are you ready to start this game, Curve?
Yeah, I guess so. Let's go for it.
Alright. Alright,
So,
perfect.
good morning or afternoon, evening, night, wherever you live, wherever you're watching from. I actually played this game a long time ago, and it absolutely blew me away. Just it, sometimes whenever you play a game and like you don't know what it is going in, and then like you finally play it, you're just baffled.
Mm
It's a journey, and you
hmm.
didn't expect it to be. You like it's crazy how you can play a game, just like a bunch of ones and zeros on your computer
Mm
that somehow turns into Fortnite or something, and it can change your life. Like I mean, we've only been playing for a minute now, but not all games, especially like the impactful ones that I'm talking about, they're not going to be a minute long. Most games are not a minute long. I mean, this game, for example, nothing. This game has infinite replay value, actually. You can get basically an infinite amount of playtime out of this.
hmm. Is there any
Because,
achievements?
I don't think so, but, like,
Oh, well,
the,
nothing.
ach- the achievement is playing the game.
Is it the friends we made along the way?
It is the friends we made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, what's better than playing nothing?
Yeah.
Now, okay, so you see, this is like some insider information. So, for those of you out there who don't know who I am, I have my own YouTube channel called Curve Nasty Junior. Go subscribe and watch all my stuff. I have very inconsistent uploads. I upload basically anything that I want, including the SpongeBob analog
Oh
horror,
yeah,
which I
go
just
go
uploaded.
watch the first wood sword video he made. He loves that one. That's his favorite one.
You
So I've
literally
heard.
can't watch that one because I
Oh,
privated
did
it.
you private it?
Yes, you can't watch that one. Go watch the second one though. You might have seen it already. It has 500,000 views.
Yeah, the second one is pretty good. I actually did enjoy that one.
So,
Oh, go watch the
as
one
I
with
was saying,
Maxor in it
that was brief recap of Metal Gear Rising.
too.
It
Part
was
two.
both parts.
Oh,
He
oh yeah,
was briefly
Maxor.
in
Yeah, it
part
was
one,
briefly in part one. Yeah, you're right.
briefly in part one, but he's mostly in part two. That one was all right. I like that one.
I liked that one too. What was the other one? I liked your. Which other one did you do? I liked the most recent one you did, the Metal Gear. Oh, not the most recent one, but it's the Metal Gear one. I can't remember. It's the no guns.
Peace Walker,
Yeah, Peace Walker.
Peace Walker, no guns. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that
Even
one.
though I got completely lambasted by people in the comments for calling Peace Walker a black sheep. Apparently,
I,
that didn't go well with
yeah,
people.
I definitely think people misunderstood what you meant by black sheep. I feel like they don't understand the definition of black sheep. I think that's
Black
the
sheep
issue.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be used in a completely negative sense.
Yeah, like that's what I
I
think. I think they thought that black sheep was just like calling it bad.
No, and like I absolutely love Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. That's honestly, I'm weird. That's my favorite game in the franchise. I absolutely love, like, I think my favorite part of it is how it explores Big Boss's psychology and
Mm-hmm.
how the events of Snake Eater has affected him mentally. And you see that with the AI pod with the boss because like he's in denial really that the boss is dead even though he was the one who killed the boss by his own hand.
Mm-hmm.
He's thinking most of the game like she's maybe she's still alive in the AI. Maybe Strangelove was able to replicate her in the AI. Maybe she is living on. Maybe I didn't kill her fully. And by the end of the game he realizes that no, this AI is nothing like her. It knows nothing about her. It is not the boss. And I think that's a really good art, and I really like how it explores the psychology of Big Boss. It's really interesting, and I feel like that's glossed over a lot when talking about Peace Walker because a lot of people, some people really like to write off Peace Walker because it's on the PSP, it's on a handheld console, it's not as grandiose as the previous entries, but I think like that's a really short-sighted way to think about it.
I mean,
Like
especially when the
even
story and the character building, like
I
it
mean
definitely makes up for its flaws, for sure.
yeah, I mean like from a character standpoint, I mean Peace Walker isn't like the best thing in the world. I mean like Hot Coldman exists because Hot Coldman uh he's there. Huey doesn't do all that much in Peace Walker. Really, Huey gets to shine in Metal Gear Solid 5. That's when, you really get to see how evil he is. He really doesn't do that in Peace Walker all that much. He just kind of is there.
Hmm.
And mhm. Yeah, as I said, like
Is Peace
I mean,
Walker? Oh,
obviously,
sorry.
Big Boss. No, what are you asking?
Is Peace Walker in the on the list for the games we're gonna play?
Yes, we will be playing Peace Walker later in the winter summer. In fact, we will be playing the entire mainline Metal Gear
Yeah,
franchise.
that's
So
gonna
I hope you
be
look forward to that.
yeah, that's gonna be there later on though for sure.
Well, I mean, it's going to be like trickled throughout. So, I mean, of
Yeah.
course, Peace Walker, that's going to be in the latter half because that's the second to last, well, third to last technically, because Metal Gear Solid 5 is two different games, but that's if you group them together, second to last game in the timeline.
Well, will Metal
Well,
Gear
not in the
Rising
timeline,
be
not in the
in that
timeline.
time
I
in
didn't mean
that
that. I didn't mean that. In release order, it is the second to last one.
is Metal Gear Rising in that list? So like do we have to play Metal Gear Rising twice?
No. We will be playing Metal Gear Rising once. That is a spoiler, though, kind of, because that's going to be a
Well,
special one.
cuz also we could also like if you want to incorporate it in like the release date order that you were talking about doing, we could just like put that there like on the release date order and be like, "Yep, this one's special."
Well, I mean, we could. That means it would be between Peace Walker and 5.
Is that like a weird
So,
order or should we just not do that?
we'll figure it out later. I mean, that's a topic for later.
Yeah, that whole video as a whole is going to be later for sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's got to be like a special.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
agree.
anyways, back to talking about Peace Walker. I mean, like, and I feel like the bosses get a lot of flack just because they're not the human bosses like in the other Metal Gears. Like, don't get me wrong, Metal Gear human bosses are really awesome. I mean, like the boss, obviously, Solidus, like the entire Cobra unit in MGS3, all highlights the end, the fury, the fear. I mean, the pain's there. He's not super great, but the pain is there. Uh, I mean, of course, like Dead Cell, I think their name was in MGS2. The vamp fight's really cool. I mean, Fortune also kind of just exists. Batman, Batman's pretty cool. And then of course you have all your Foxhound people in MGS1. Beauty and the Beast unit. I've heard that one's very divisive. I have not played MGS4, and we won't be playing MGS4
Really?
because that game is impossible to play.
Wait, actually?
Um, well, Winter, I don't know if you know this, but MGS4 was only ever released on the PlayStation 3 and is essentially impossible to emulate.
Mm. Did not know that.
So yes, that game is basically
Is it just
impossible
because
to play.
PS3 emulators are just really like bad or
No, no, no. Like RPCS3 is actually really good. It's a very solid emulator, no pun intended. But it's just that MGS4 is a really hard game to emulate.
gotcha.
So it just hasn't been able to be done very successfully. I mean, I've tried to before. The game ran at like 20 FPS. It was not a fun experience.
Yeah,
But
I can't really input a lot on the Metal Gear series. I mean, you know more than anyone. I've never played it, so
yeah,
I
well,
would have
you're gonna
no
learn.
clue. Yeah, I'll definitely learn. I'm definitely gonna try my best to learn a lot of the lore and stuff, so I can talk about it more. Definitely. I mean,
Hmm.
I like talking about like I like getting into series and stuff like that. I mean, can't really say I've
As
gone
the
into
guy who
many.
still hasn't played Yakuza 0 all the way.
Okay, well, I'm sorry I don't have a lot of motivation when it comes to single player games, man, all right? This is the motivation I needed. Winter summer is going to change me. It's going to change me from the
I
winter as
sh-
we know to the summer.
hmm Can't believe it. Summertime. It's gonna be real.
Summertime will be real. That's actually
Uh,
did I actually tell you how I got Wintertime as a name?
I think you did a long time ago. I don't really remember, so if you could go ahead and refresh my
So
memory on that.
okay, there's either two ways. Okay, actually no, there's only really one. I think because I can't really remember. I think I made it in like 2017, 2016.
Hmm.
But so I had the name Vape Time, but it was weird because vapes weren't like cool until like what like 2021, 2020.
Something like
Like
that.
the
That's
whole
definitely
vape
a
wave.
2020s thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't have I had the name Vape Time like 2017, which I think
Hmm.
Vape actually referred to the old hacked client Vape that was on Minecraft at the time. It was it was like one of the most used ones
Okay.
on like Hypixel and
Okay.
whatnot. So there's Vape, and then I think I just replaced the word time with time. So really simple
Okay.
there. But then, so then I had the name Vape Time, and like I was one of those people that I never kept the same username. So I was
Hmm.
like, yeah, I'm gonna change this in 30 days. It's just something, you know. And then I think there was this old player on Hypixel. His name was Summertime with like a ton of E's. Like it was like summer and then T I, like until character limit, right?
uh,
So I was like, hey, I know that guy. He's pretty cool. So I changed my name to Winter, and I'm assuming I just slapped Tyne on the back of it from Vape Time. And
okay.
that
Okay.
was the first username that I was like, hey, I actually like this username. So I just kept Wintertime, and I've been just everyone. I think what really made it stick though was that when the username Wintertime was the one that like I had when I met all of my friends. So like
Uh-huh.
I was called
So that's what
Winter,
they knew you
Winter.
by.
Yeah, like I was just called
Uh-huh.
Winter, Winter, you know, and like it's just the one that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuck. So I was like, I like the name, you know, Wintertime's nice.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, of course, I said the origin of my name many times, but
Yeah, say
for
for the
viewers
audience. Yeah,
out
for the
there,
audience.
for the audience, so this all happened when I was like 8 years old or something. So I was playing Wii Sports with my stepbrother, and we were playing bowling, and we were both very good at curving the ball. So he comes up with the name Curve Nasty. I don't know how he did, but he just came up with it. And of course, he's older than me, so he's Curve Nasty, and I'm Curve Nasty Jr. So that's how the name came into existence.
Tell him about 56, Curve 56, because that's also a name that's gonna be popping up. I mean, it already popped up in Minecraft now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we'll get there. I'm telling the whole
Oh,
story.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. This is just how Curve Nasty Jr. came into existence.
Okay,
So then a few years later, I'm signing up for this website named Pokemon Legends. It's like this browser Pokemon game that I would play because I didn't have a DS or a 3DS. And I'm like, okay, I need a username. And I had no idea what to put for my username. So I go back and just take that name that I got a couple years ago, Curve Nasty Jr., and I just used it. But I also put 45 at the end. 45 was just a random number that I thought of, no significance whatsoever, and that was it.
you
But
just
then,
changed 40. Oh, okay.
but then I actually lost that account. I think it was not even like a week later. So I made another one, which was Curve Nasty Jr. 56. And the way I got 56 was I just added one to each of the digits. So not super special, just the number I came up with. So that's how I became Curve Nasty Jr. 56. And that's basically how I got the name. It
Yeah,
was
just
just a
shortened it.
stupid name that my stepbrother gave me years and years ago that stuck whenever I actually had to start using the internet, basically. Because that was the name that I started using on everything else. And yeah, Kurt56 is just a shortened version that I use for some things.
And really, I mean, that's how I feel like a lot of usernames come. Like people get used their usernames. It's either like just random usernames that they made up when they like that just stuck, like mine, or like just like
Hmm.
yours was like it actually had some like meaning. I mean, and then there's people that just like they base it off even their name, right? I mean, like
Yeah,
usernames are
yeah,
such
yeah.
like such an interesting thing when
Hmm.
looking at it, like when how like there's a lot of creative things. I guess I'm trying to say like there's a lot of creative ways you can
Yeah,
look at it.
I mean, yeah, like you think about it, like a username is like the most basal way to express creativity on the internet.
That's always what I
It's
think about too.
uh-huh.
Because
Because
like there's
like
some names where you're just like dude that guy like there's like an aura. Like some usernames
uh-huh.
just create an aura. Especially when
Yeah, because
there's like
like
an XX or an underscore dude, but then they're like 12.
yeah, and like a username says a lot about a person,
Yeah.
which is why I say that usernames are like a very basal form of artistic expression on the internet because like it really is just a way to express who you are and what you're all about in just a short name that everybody's gonna see.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like that is pretty much what a username is. I feel like I mean I say I feel like I mean it is.
Hmm. I mean, ooh, wow, we've already been playing this game for like 16 minutes.
Dude,
Wow,
what's the world
time sure
record?
flies. Oh, I don't even know what the world record is, dude.
Actually,
But
I've been actually recording for 17 minutes.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, we did a little yapping beforehand.
Hmm.
So,
But yeah, and going back to like artistic expression, I feel like for the common internet user, it's with usernames, but for other people, you might get into more specific mediums that may take more refined skill. Like, for example, us, we're doing video creation. And even though this isn't exactly going to be very complicated, it's still a way to express things. This is
mhm.
still a way for us to, well, not only just have fun, of course, but it's also how we can express ourselves. And another way that some people do that is by creating video games. Like, for example, Nothing. I mean, you
Going
know,
back to this.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's topical. So there's a lot that goes into this to the discussion about video games as art, and you know, Nothing, for example, is a very avant-garde piece in video games. Like especially in recent years, like indie gaming has been on the rise as
Yeah,
more
cuz I
people
mean with
who
Unity
have grown
5
up playing video
or was it
games.
is it
Yeah,
Unreal Engine 5 or Unity 5? I can't remember.
I don't remember,
But it was whatever one, but
but
like they made like developing a game is so much more like accessible and easier than it's ever been. I mean like
and like yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Pirate Software. He's been popping up on my YouTube Shorts a lot because I mean
Hmm.
he's really good to watch. I mean he says he has like a lot of good like advice and stuff. He just talks a lot. But like he
Hmm.
was showing like you have a character and then like he opened Unity or like Unreal 5 or whatever it is. He opened it and he's like, all right, you type this in, boom, you got a setting, boom, you got this, boom, you got that. And like it was just like easiest thing I've ever seen. Like it looked like you were doing something on like blocks or like Scratch. Like it was
Wow.
insane. Like and then like he did some like basic stuff and then it was basically Undertale. I'm like, whoa. I mean, which I mean, then again,
Wow.
like Undertale wasn't like the craziest thing, but like
Hmm.
like how massive Undertale is. I mean, such a big fan base, such a big following.
Yeah. I mean,
But then
it's
like
definitely not the craziest thing from a technical standpoint,
but
but
you're
it's still a
putting
very good
that you're
game.
putting something like Undertale in the hands of everyone.
Yeah,
So
like
like everyone has a chance to make something as big as Toby Fox did.
that's a very good way to think about it. But I feel like even outside of like accessibility, like think about the time that we're living in. Like a lot of people who have grown up playing video games their whole lives are now getting to the age where they may want to start making video games.
Yeah,
That's
that
like
is
a
true.
very
Yeah.
that's that's kind of the pipeline. I guess that's not the greatest word, but it's kind of a pipeline that happens with some people where like they grow up their whole lives interacting with a certain thing, and then when they get older they feel like they need to give back to it
Hmm.
by maybe creating it.
Yeah, and like I
Like
feel
for
like
example here with video games, a lot of people who are, starting up their like careers and such, in their early 20s and stuff like that, have grown up playing video games for most of their lives.
oh yeah,
They're
100%.
like, wow, now I'm old enough to have the agency where I can start making a video game,
Hmm.
like something like that. And I feel like just beyond how more people want to make video games, you also have to think about how the industry is at large right now because AAA gaming hasn't been doing very hot recently with, all kinds of layoffs and just
Dude, especially
terrible
it's like
company
Sony, yeah, Sony
practices
with Helldivers.
with
That's a
Helldivers.
great
Yeah, with
example.
Helldivers.
AAA
Very
company
recent
completely ruining an
example.
indie dev. What was Helldivers indie?
I'm not sure, but still like
I mean, Lethal Company,
restricting
Content Warning. Those are great
yeah, like
examples of indie companies.
big indie
Literally,
games recently.
like I have seen more talk about like Lethal Company and Content Warning than I've ever seen of the latest COD. I don't even know what the latest COD is.
Yeah, like I don't even know what the COD coming out this year is.
Like it has
I
not been talked about at all. And then you have like indie devs just
mhm.
creating like really cool things.
Yeah, I mean just think about it like not only like is it with Helldivers, Sony forcing PSN accounts on PC players and basically restricting anyone who lives in like Eastern Europe, parts of Asia,
Yeah,
basically all of Africa, like they can't play the game anymore on PC. And like that's a huge blunder. And then
and
you have
like, but the thing,
Microsoft with Xbox, they just recently closed down a ton of studios, including Tango Gameworks, who created Hi-Fi Rush, which was a huge game last year. That was a huge game
I've
that
never heard of that
everyone
one.
loved. Oh, well, a lot of people loved it. It was a really cool little thing. I have it on my wish list. I haven't gotten to it yet, but
Hmm.
it's a really cool little game. And apparently they were even in early talks about making a sequel, but that got shut down since the studio was as well.
Going back to Helldivers, I think like didn't like the creator of the game actually like support Sony like doing whatever? Because I think like the creator of Helldivers like just said like one of the guys like someone tweeted like or no, it was Helldivers support that responded. It was like they tweeted like, "Hey, how am I supposed to play the game?" And then like the Helldivers support was just like get better or like cope seed.
I, I don't know. I wouldn't have seen anything about that. I mean, like, there's something where it was like, it takes like 3 minutes to create a PSN account. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna
But
take long at
it's
all.
just
But I
yeah, but
feel
it's
like that's a
just
very stupid
blocked.
argument.
It's yeah, it's not
Yeah,
even
like
like
for a lot
Sony's
of
just
countries,
blocked.
it's yeah, for a lot of countries, you just straight up can't make a PSN account. And even then, like, apparently Sony has a history of like data breaches that a lot of people don't
And
want to
also, don't they
like give
require
their
like an
information to them.
actual ID? Like they require like actual like a like a license? Don't they like actually
I
require a
don't know,
license?
but if they do, that's really bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, but so we were talking about going back in video games. Do you know what the first video game you ever played was? Because I remember mine.
The first video game I ever played, I don't know if this is the first one, but the first one
Yeah,
that
of memory, of memory.
I remember ever like getting super into was Skylanders Spyro's Adventures.
That is awesome.
Mhm. Love that game.
So I have a few. So what I believe was my first ever game was probably EverQuest
Okay.
because my dad and my mom they have been well my dad has been playing EverQuest since 1999 when it released.
Mhm.
He still plays it to this day sometimes. But like, so that was his first game ever, and I still played it when I was born. So I'm assuming at some point I touched the game, just made a character and ran around a little bit, trying to do my best to do whatever. The first game I know for a fact I like made a character on and played a little. Well, not made a character. I know I played Guild Wars 2, which is another MMO. And funny story with that, I think some dude, like, I think I accidentally traded, like, all of my dad's gold for, like, a newbie sword by accident.
Bro.
And he was really mad at me for that. But I do remember, and then if that's not it, I know for a fact when I was 4 that I played Minecraft Lite, if you remember what that was.
No, I don't
it
think
was so. It was basically Pocket Edition, but like, okay, think like Minecraft Alpha, like like how like Alpha is just like the flat. It's like the like only like 6 chunks of space with like you only have like certain blocks available. That's kind of like what Minecraft Lite was. You had like a small creative inventory and like a little small like space, and it was on your phone. I think Minecraft Lite came out in like 2009, I think, 2010.
I don't know.
Let me see.
I didn't get into Minecraft until like the Xbox 360 days.
There's a fandom. Hell yeah. 2011. Sorry.
Yes, the 360 days, probably around 2014, maybe.
So I must have been an older.
Yeah, I think 2014, because I was playing Garden Warfare 1 around that time, and I was also playing Minecraft. So it would have been 2014 when I got into Minecraft, and that was when I would play sometimes with like my 360 friends that I met on Garden Warfare. And speaking of Garden Warfare, we will actually be playing that a little bit later in the winter summer.
That actually brings up my first ever username that I've ever made. It's so my first ever username was Kobe4Sonic. You've probably seen it.
Yeah.
So
do you want to keep that in the video that has?
Yeah. I don't care. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So it came from Kobe, my first name. Then I was 4. So number 4. And Sonic because I liked Sonic.
Yeah.
And that has been my Roblox username since 2012.
Yeah, but didn't you just lose your Roblox account?
I just did. So I played Roblox with my friend for the first so I didn't touch Roblox for like a year. Came back to it because my friend was playing, and I was just screwing around with him in a server or a game, whatever. And then so I got an email, and it was like, "Hey, your Roblox account got logged into." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's just me. I haven't played in a long time." Well, then I see another email. Your password has just been requested to be changed. So I'm like, "Wait, that's not right." So then I went look at it, and then by that time it was already done. Like the email was changed on it, my password was changed, and like there was just nothing I could do. So like it was literally like it happened right in front of my eyes.
Damn.
And the scariest part about it is that the only way they can change, or like the only way they can get the password reset, like because you have to get the whatever code for the password reset, is if they had. I don't remember if it was exactly that. There was like whatever method they used, you had to have access to my actual email. So like that really freaked me out because I'm like, oh my god, what else could they have? Like they have my entire email. So like I changed that as fast as I could, and then like I've never seen anything else be compromised. So that means that person hacked into my email, like my personal email account, just to hack my Roblox account, which doesn't have anything valuable on it. Like I didn't buy anything crazy. I don't have a lot of Robux on it. I think I had maybe 1. And like the only Robux I've ever spent are on like the old Pokemon games that are discontinued. So there's nothing useful on that account. So I don't know why. Like why?
Yep.
So yeah, so now I have to use my. So I lost. That's my OG account. I have my other
Mhm.
account that I made in 2016. It's like Starman3672. I
Mhm.
don't even remember how I came up with that name. Probably Mario and then some random numbers.
Uh-huh.
But
I mean, for me, like, I just don't have access to mine anymore. I forgot the password a long time ago. So that's lost to time. I never made an alt or anything, so that one's kind of just tough shit.
yeah, just well, you better make a new account then because we got Roblox coming up.
Yeah, we got some Roblox gaming to do.
Yep, we got to do some of that.
Yeah, we're really spoiling the entire winter summer, huh?
Dude, we have so much, dude. That's fine.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
honestly, if
we'll
people have
live.
been like watching the full 30 minutes of this, props to them. Honestly.
Yeah. I
Oh
mean, like nothing is the kind of game where you really can't edit any of this out. Like
no,
it's all
absolutely not.
important.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like I don't even think I have to like do anything. Like I think I could just
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
upload this. Like I could just slap the MP4 onto YouTube and be like, hey, take this,
yeah,
and they'll be like, okay.
honestly, yeah, like
I mean, I might have to tweak
because
some
like,
audio things, maybe, because I have
mhm.
noticed, like on OBS on my other monitor, that it has been peaking a bit at a little, like at some higher spots that I
Uh-huh.
like. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't really get to talk about nothing else, more so talking about like the circumstances around it, which let me wrap that up really quick. Yeah, I was
oh, I'm
talking
sorry.
about like with indie games, you know, there are a lot of people who are getting to that age where they want to make games, and like with AAA gaming, that hasn't been doing very well. So more people are going the indie game route, as when it comes to making indie games and when it comes to playing indie games, because a lot of AAA games are just becoming anti-consumer nowadays. So people are a lot more receptive to indie games, and indie
Yeah,
games
it's
have been
definitely it's more
thriving
on
a
the
lot.
radar. Yeah, it's definitely more on the radar.
hmm And I feel like Nothing is a good example of why you really shouldn't sleep on indie games, because Nothing is a really profound experience. I mean, you wouldn't really get that by hearing us talk over it for 30 minutes. You really have to play the game yourself to understand. But like once you do, like you'll realize like, wow, this is what indie gaming is all about. This is the kind of experiences that people can give me when they aren't being held down by corporate, basically,
Mm-hmm.
by, having games as a product rather than an art piece.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah. Oh,
that's why we can play this for 32 minutes,
and talk
33
about and
almost,
talk about.
without without breaks, because there's just it's such a great experience. I mean, even if we're not getting the whole thing here, since we're not playing this alone and not really trying to focus on the real deeper meaning of Nothing, because we're just trying to talk over it for content, but still, like, that's not a knock against the game, that's a knock against us. We're
Right.
playing the game wrong, basically.
Because I mean, we are doing something by doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, and like,
Well,
I
instead
don't
of doing
really
nothing, we are
want
doing
to.
something, huh?
It kind of defeats the purpose, honestly.
Right.
But technically, the game says we're doing nothing, so I guess we're doing nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. I don't know if I really want this video on Nothing to really devolve into like a deep analysis of Nothing. I mean, should I do that?
Well, if you want to do that, I want to get something else out first before you do that.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
So we were talking about like indie games been in the spotlight.
Uh
The
huh.
FTC actually is like the federal government is actually like
Uh
also
huh.
trying to promote indie games in a sense. Like they started talking about a ban that's going to be like hopefully effective within like something like 180 days, that
Hmm.
they're actually banning non-competes, which is huge. Like not only like well, you say like I say it's gonna affect every industry really. I mean, do I need to explain what non-competes are?
Do it for the audience.
Okay, so basically, if you get with a company and like when you're getting hired, they might make you sign something that says if you work with us, you will not be able to join, like you will not be able to quit and join a competitor. So that's pretty much huge for any industry. Like, so they're the government saying you're not allowed to do that anymore. So they're just banning the ability for a company to allow, like, basically just banning non-competes, like I said. So that's not only huge for any industry, but like the gaming industry, that is absolutely massive. Because let's say like with Blizzard, like how many people knew it? Like when the whole thing happened, a lot of people probably couldn't leave because they were also restricted by a non-compete. They couldn't work with any other company because they already signed with Blizzard.
Hmm.
So I mean that's just one example, but there's probably like hundreds. You could probably think of hundreds of other examples. So that's also going to open the door for individual devs that have their own ideas to leave the company, and start their own thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like the whole non-compete thing, I'm hoping that goes through because that's honestly huge.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you can talk about your nothing. I think you can probably talk about your nothing analysis, and then that would probably be good. I mean, we're 36 minutes deep.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil the whole game. Yeah, so yeah, where do I start even? I mean, like I've been saying this entire time how nothing is like a just deep and profound masterpiece of a video game. I mean, like you really don't see a lot like this anymore. It's with the industry going towards games as a service and all that. It's really a shame because it filters out a lot of games that are really artistic like this
Hmm.
because nothing is a really poignant piece on what it's like to live as a human being because it doesn't do it by showing what it is exactly like to live your life because you already have that part. You already know what it's like to live the life of a human being. You already know what it's like to live your life. Your life is not going to be the same as anyone else's. And the main way in which it really hammers in that idea, it really makes you think about the life that you're living, is in the juxtaposition of the hustle and bustle of everyday life between nothing. Because in doing nothing, it it really it tasks you with how long can you do nothing. Of course, that's the name of the game. How long can you do nothing? But it's really up to you to ask yourself, well, what does doing nothing really mean? Because doing nothing can mean a lot of things. What is the difference between doing nothing and doing something? A lot of
Nothing.
people will say that you're doing nothing
Nothing.
if you're just being lazy. If you're just sitting at home playing some video games, watching some movies or TV shows or whatever, you're just taking a day to chill. Some people will say that's doing nothing. But this game takes doing nothing to a whole different level. You're doing nothing. You're not moving your mouse, you're not typing on your keyboard, you're not opening up different programs. You're literally just opening this game and doing nothing. But even then, it goes a second layer deep with the juxtaposition of real life versus nothing. In that, when you're playing nothing, your computer and how you interact with your computer is nothing. But you are doing something. Because in reality, you can never, ever be in a state of doing nothing unless you're dead.
Unless you're dead. You have to emphasize that. Unless you're dead.
No. I don't even mean that as a joke. Like, unless you're dead, because
I mean, I guess
if
so,
you're
because
dead,
in some way, like if you're just sitting there, like literally, like if you're just sitting there doing what we call nothing, your body is still doing something.
yes, I mean your body is still pumping blood. Your body is
Heart's
still
beating,
filtering
you're
out
blinking.
stuff. Yeah, you're
Wait,
you're
you're blinking
breathing.
manually, you're breathing manually now. I mean, you're like.
No, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. But yeah, like you're blinking, you're breathing, your heart's beating, your kidneys filtering out stuff from your blood. You're probably digesting some of the food that you ate earlier. Your your body's always doing something. You're never in a state of doing nothing until death, which is why I think that nothing is an incredible piece on what death is like, because it so eloquently describes what death is like. It's nothing.
Would that make this game a romantic piece?
I, not necessarily,
Because I mean,
because
well, it's not really glorifying death. It's not really glorifying anything. It's nothing.
yeah, it's nothing. It's a realist piece, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's more realist. Hundred
It's a
percent.
realist piece because it describes what death is like. And it it back once again with like the juxtaposition of nothing and real life. If you think about it that way, it's like juxtaposing life and death. And it really makes you understand death at this carnal level that no other game that I've played does. It's really powerful, and it does it all without words. I mean, like, yes, there's words in the game. It says you've been doing nothing for however long, but that doesn't give you any indication that it's about death. That just means it's about nothing. But sometimes nothing is death. And when you really connect the dots on those two, you start to realize, like, yes, this game is about death. This game is about the nothingness that is in death. And it it makes you appreciate life more because you realize that your life is precious, because in life you have the agency to do something, because it shows you what doing nothing is like. And that's why I think that nothing is such a wonderful piece. It really goes against the industry standard, obviously. Like
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like this is a kind of, you wouldn't understand it, that like Metal Gear Solid 2, if we go back to that, like what Kojima did with that game, like, people at the time in 2001 when Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, people hated it. People hated that game because, it didn't have Snake in it. Well, it has Snake in it, but you didn't play as Snake for the majority of the game. You played as him for not even an hour at the beginning, but you play as Raiden for most of the game. And, you know, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a very famous meta piece on, the nature of sequels and stuff like that. And, one of the most important takeaways that people got from Metal Gear Solid 2 is how AI would influence, like AI and technology as a whole, would influence our daily lives at some point in the future if we let
well,
it take
did
over.
it go into like a crazy robots taking over thing, or did it just like a realistic influence?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, you would have to play the game to know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll probably see when we get to it in
Right.
Winter Summer, but but you know, Kojima famously essentially predicted how our lives would be today. He was incredibly spot on.
It
And
pulled the Simpsons.
yeah, pretty much. He was like spot on because it was about like how algorithms would influence our lives basically, and how misinformation would spread through the usage, I can't say that word for some reason, the usage of technology, and how like higher powers would use it to control us. And it was an insanely accurate take from 2001. He predicted the future essentially, and it's a very avant-garde piece, and I feel like it's very similar to what Nothing has done in the modern day, because this isn't how video games are normally. When you think of a video game that covers death, for example, think of something like Persona 3. You know, at the end of the day, Persona 3 is still a video game that you play. It's an RPG. You collect personas and you get in fights and you use skills to defeat them. And of course, Persona is also a social simulator. You go and talk to people, create bonds and whatnot, gameplay. And games tend to have gameplay because that's part of what makes games fun, is because you get to play them. The interactivity in games is what makes it unique as a medium. But Nothing doesn't have that, because it's truly aiming to be as realistic about what death is like as possible. And that's why the lose condition in Nothing is to do something, because you can't do something if you're dead. That defeats the purpose of being dead, basically. And that brings up a very, deep argument that you could go into. Is Nothing a video game if you can't play it?
I think it is.
I mean, yeah, it all depends. What do you consider a video game to be? I mean, like, there are some things that really push the boundaries of what is a video game. I feel like visual novels, for example.
Well, that's a story game.
Mm-hmm.
As an interactive, I would count it as an interactive story game.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, what do you define interactivity as when it comes to video games?
Well, you talk to the characters, you make your own decisions, and that impacts the story.
Well, think about it. Not every visual novel has choices that you can make.
Well, if it's not a choice, it's just a story game. Well, yeah, that's just a story game.
Yeah, some of them are completely linear. So at that point, really, all that you're doing in terms of interaction is clicking to make the text move to the next piece of text.
I think I would consider Nothing an idle game.
I mean, yes, but even then, with idle games, you have some kind of input. Usually you upgrade things and stuff. But
well, your input is doing nothing.
Yes, but that's kind of paradoxical when you put it that way, because how are you interacting with something by not interacting with it?
But isn't the point of Nothing to be paradoxical?
Yes, and that's the thing. But
then it doesn't have to have an answer then. I think it's just up to interpretation.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
why I said it's a very deep argument that you can get into. Is Nothing a video game if you can't play it?
It's a philosophical construct.
Yes, and that's another reason why I think that Nothing is such a great art piece. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, I haven't had anything I disagreed with yet.
Yeah, I mean,
other than the fact that you said death would result in nothing, because obviously when you die, you get a prompt that says now you can play as Luigi.
True. I mean, yeah, obviously.
But what if you don't want to play as Luigi? Then it would result in nothing. But who would not want to play as Luigi?
I mean, yeah, obviously.
He's my favorite green tomato flavored amigo.
Obviously. But yes, well, I think I've said most of what I want to say on the topic. Do you have anything you would like to say about it?
I honestly think you summed it up perfectly. I mean, I could not say anything else about it.
Yeah, well, is there anything else that you would like to say?
Um, off the top of my head, I can't really say anything else on the matter. I mean on this matter specifically. I mean, I think about it. I really can't say. I really don't know anything else to talk about.
Yeah, I think I'm done too.
Are you ready to do
So
something?
well, not yet. I think we need to record a brief outro. Well, because yeah, I think this is where we're going to actually